Selection Sunday, less than 2 weeks away. We're getting close to the end of the regular season for many conferences in men's college basketball. After that, conference tournaments need to be played out before we find out who fills out our field of 68. It's Brooks's Bracketology breakdown. And if we're going to brand it like that, we've got to have the goods here, right? You got your own graphic breaking down bracketology, which you can find, of course, in its entirety at CBSSports.com. Mackenzie Brooks here from Inside the Lines to offer some insight on the latest bracketology. So let's talk about some last four in, first four out, Mountain West style, New Mexico and San Diego State. Let's talk it through.
They were the epitome of the double bubble game, right? I talked about them going into the weekend as well. You were going from under 50% chance to make the tournament to over 50% chance with a win here. Now, San Diego State went into that game with a head-to-head win. They were 1-0 in that series. And New Mexico had the overall better metrics, like a better team. They just didn't have that head-to-head. Now they're able to split that, and now we're in a situation where the net ranking runs true. They now have, you know, again the same win against San Diego State. So that essentially allows the Lobos to take the spot from San Diego State as the last four in, and San Diego State moves to the outside looking in. If you are San Diego State, the situation is going to be run the table the rest of the regular season and then win at least 2 conference tournament games here. But New Mexico in a pretty solid spot. Colorado State, 63% chance to win. And then they play at Utah State. This will still be about seeding, but again, just beating San Diego State, another bubble team, another team you're competing for that 2 seed in the conference with, was really, really what was going to elevate their resume and make them feel good about March.
So the Lobos, for the moment, would be a first 4 game as an 11 seed in bracketology, joining Utah State. So right now, 2 out of the Mountain West for the moment. Let's talk about another team, literally the last 4 in and then the first 4 out with VCU and Cal, a resume comparison with these 2 teams.
Yeah, you know, when you're looking at literally the first 4 in and last 4 out, you want to see that fine line and understand what the separation of those 2 teams is going to be. Now, VCU actually lost to St. Louis on Friday, so we were thinking and assuming they would probably fall out, but they actually didn't. And then we look at the numbers, it makes a little bit more sense. Look at that net ranking for Cal, 64th. That is a very, very bad spot to be. VCU, the jarring thing with them is their 1-5 quad 1 record. That is going to be the issue for them, but other metrics are keeping them higher. Now they do get to play Dayton, and if they lose to them, it won't kill them, but adding a quad 1 road win to their resume would do such wonders for this team and keep them away from that literally on the edge of the cliff and just about to not fall off. So if you're VCU, that Dayton game is what's really going to secure you away from the edge of the bubble. And as for Cal, they're in a good spot too, where you have quad 1 opportunities. That's the good thing about being in some of these power conferences. San Diego State, to bring it back to them, their issue outside of losing that game is they're running out of time and room to pick up resume boosters, right? They're going to play some quad 2 games. They're going to play some quad 2 games in the beginning of the conference tournament too. So that's the bigger issue for San Diego State on top of losing this game this weekend, is you're running out of resume boosting opportunities.
And so we've been talking about last 4 in, first 4 out. We're going to continue that conversation with Auburn because we saw an example, to your point, of Ohio State was first 4 out. Then they actually skipped the entire last 4 in line as a 10 seed with their victory over Purdue on Sunday on CBS. Do the Tigers have something similar in line ahead of them?
Yeah, I mean, they just keep like kicking themselves, right? It's hard to make excuses for this team at this point. They are 5-11 in quad 1. Now, what I will say for this team is they have the top 2 strength of schedule in the country, right? So you do want to give them grace at some point for that. Important to look at their net rank at 38 right now, because I'm going to talk about some trends of the past 5 years that what makes this Auburn team kind of difficult to interpret. Starting with, if you're top 38 in net, only 4 teams outside of the top 38 or in the top 38 in net have been left out in the past 5 years. Top 2 strength of schedule in the last 4 years, all but 1 team have gotten in. So you're looking at their strength of schedule and you're looking at their net, and it's telling you this is a team that should be in the tournament. Now, you get down to their sub 52% win rate, their sub 22% road win rate, and you're saying, okay, only like 5 teams of the past 400 in the last 5 years have gotten in with those numbers. So obviously the win-loss, the legitimate resume stuff is what is killing them, but that strength of schedule, that net, is what's keeping them even in those 8 teams we're talking about, a first whatever it is. But again, a team like this in a power conference, you have quad 1 opportunities on the way. Not everybody, mid-majors don't have that luxury, so conference tournament is always a time to get some insurance, get some quad 1 wins. But I'm not here to tell you they're going to win them. I'm telling you that they are going to play multiple quad one games.
Again, they haven't showed us anything to convert on those opportunities,
Correct.
but to your point, they have the opportunities.
Technically, they have a high ceiling.
Correct, yes. Can they get there, though? That remains to be seen for the Tigers. Let's start a little higher in the seeding here. Let's talk about Iowa State, which had been a 2 to 3 seed for much of the year right here, but tough times as of late. Yeah,
totally tough times. I mean, it was 72 hours ago, I was saying that this is a team with a really clear path to take that 1 seed from UConn, right? If you were to win out, if you were to win your conference tournament, which wasn't seeming impossible at the time, you had the opportunity to take that away from UConn if they hiccup. Then they go on, they lose to Texas Tech, and now we're having a different conversation. And oh, by the way, you have Arizona coming up in a few hours as well. So a lot tougher of a road for Iowa State. Those 1 seed hopes are very much out of the picture, which is so frustrating for them because you see Purdue lose, you see Houston lose, like all these other teams melted down, and you could have been in such a clearer spot, but they also melt down themselves as well. So a few good things still going for them. Top 10 in net ranking. Their WAB ranks 14th. They're still above 500 in quad one wins. And the other thing you can say about this team is that losing to Texas Tech, obviously losses are bad, but this Texas Tech team isn't being dinged without having Toppin because they've won all their games, and then they finally get a game with a pulse and they also win that game. Their rebounding's actually better. Their three-point shooting is just as good, if not better as well. So losing to a respectable, credentialed Texas Tech is what's keeping this Iowa State afloat from going any further than they are right now. And on top of that, you see other teams in this 2-3 seed dance. Illinois goes down. UVA goes down. Like, you're seeing these other teams, and when you lose, it's nice when all these other teams lose too, because it keeps you from plummeting under them.
It's funny, Cyclone fans are probably saying, hey, that's just life in the Big 12. Arizona's gone through that. Houston's gone through that. Other teams have certainly gone through that, showing the strength of their conference. But as of right now, not a great sign for what they're doing.
Looking like a 3 seed. Potentially 2 come up if you see more parity in the Big 12, but 3 seed is looking like the most likely, which is crazy. I was saying maybe a 1 seed literally on Friday.
Big 10 outlook now with Michigan State and Purdue. Purdue 2 losses, 2 Sparty, as well as the aforementioned Buckeyes over the weekend. So Tom Izzo and company benefits.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue's another frustrating team where you were in the driver's seat to control your own destiny. Very similar to Iowa State. I was saying win out and then win the Big Ten. Again, not a crazy situation to think could happen, but obviously they moved from that 2. They were hanging on as a second best 2 seed going on into the weekend. They are now the top 3 seed. Again, still a top 10, net ranking. They deserve to be where they are, still above 500 in quad one, playing in one of the toughest conferences in the entire NCAA. But what I will say for them, like Iowa State, the reason it's not moving even further down is because of all the paired. Everybody's losing. Like, everyone in that 2 to 3 seed was losing. And so sometimes, even if you're not playing the specific game, other people can help you out there. I do foresee they're going to end up in the 3 seed category, potentially climbing their way back to the 2 like Iowa State.
And lastly, let's end with Florida, which has been a bit of a running theme with me and Matt Norlander in the AP poll, because about a month ago, they were like 19 to 17, 17 to 14, 14 to 12. Then last week, they finally cracked the top 10. And it's also been shown with you guys in bracketology now a 2 seed for the Gators. Yeah,
technically they went into this weekend as our favorite 2 seed, the best 2 seed. But I mean, although they didn't technically move, metrically and measurably, this is an awesome team with awesome improvements here. Top 4 net ranking, 6th in WAB, 10-5 in quad one, playing in the SEC. So they would need UConn to hiccup. But again, they have that head-to-head win over UConn. So the minute UConn does hiccup, maybe they don't go far in their conference tournament. Maybe they lose one of these regular season games remaining. Unlikely, but possible. It is now Florida who's at the top of that list. So as long as they take care of their business and then they go on to have an SEC tournament run, that's what it's going to take for them to stay in that 1 seed conversation. And they're really the only ones, in my opinion, in it with UConn at this point. Again, we went into the weekend with about 4, and we really had this big race. We're not seeing that anymore, but you talk about this Florida team. They have our 4th highest % chance to win March Madness, and we don't even think they're going to be a 1 seed. We are comfortable with that as a 2 seed because then you're avoiding that top 16 reveal in the Midwest where you had Michigan in there and Houston and Florida. Now they get to avoid that type of situation, but this is the 2nd best team in basketball since January in Torvik. Their double-digit rebounding margin on the road, plus 4 percentage points in 3-point shooting, which is a crazy number when that only ranges from like 28 to 40%. Like, this team is taking the correct strides. They're only getting better. No, they don't have a Walter Clayton Jr. who's, shooting 80 gajillion three-pointers, but they have a couple guys who are going to go 2 of 5 and kind of make up for it. So this is a team, last year they outshot opponents by 10% on twos. This year it's 14%. Last year they out-rebounded teams by 9. This year they out-rebound teams by 15. Like, this is, if not better, the same team that we saw win a national championship last year. And even don't hit that 1 seed line, I still feel confident to put some money on them to win again.
They're trending in the right direction. And about a month to 5 weeks ago, there were metrics, and then teams like yours had said, hey, Florida's a better team than the AP poll shows, but now it's all reflective, all coming through together in early March. Ken, certainly appreciate it. Keep up the good work there with the bracketology team. Also, check out Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish on their podcast, Eye on College Basketball, as we get ready for Selection Sunday in just a few days.
Welcome back to HU Spotlight. You know, there was a lot up in the air ahead of yesterday's doubleheader on CBS in terms of the bracketology, but if you kept a close eye on CBS Sports HQ, you would have heard our experts tell you why Ohio State was capable of upsetting number 8 Purdue. These are just the kind of results that we're getting used to seeing here in March. It came thanks to a 21-point effort from John Mobley after an 82-64 win over the Boilermakers. He spoke with our former Boilermaker, Robbie Hummel, after the game.
You were aggressive from the jump today. How were you able to use what Purdue was doing and use that to your advantage?
I mean, just film, just studying what they do. Hard heads, at first. Hit the big at first, make it easy for myself, down the run. They started to play the short roll, so they opened it up for me.
Some defensive issues at Iowa, not the case today. You keep them off the glass, you battle in the paint. What was different from what we saw Wednesday in Iowa City?
Like I said before, we knew it was at stake. Wanted to keep that streak going. Never lost to Purdue before, so I want to keep that going.
Ohio State going to the NCAA Tournament now?
Got to, and we're going to make a run, too. Promise that.
There you go. Thanks, John.
It's giving UNC 2025, dare I say. Welcome you back to HQ Spotlight. We've got our bracketologist, Mackenzie Brooks, alongside Tiffany Blackman. I'm Haley Sutton. Mackenzie's going to go with us and talk about some teams that have boosted their stock, or maybe their stock has fallen off after yesterday as we approach Selection Sunday. You and I were on CBS Sports HQ yesterday, and we previewed that Purdue-Ohio State game. And we talked about playing with that fire, that desire to win. You just heard John Mobley there at the end say, if we're going to make a run, we're going to do it. Ohio State and their bracketology, I feel like they have to be in the tournament now.
Yes, so they went from a true bubble team, really, under 50% to now over 50% and 55% chance. They moved all the way up after everything was said and done yesterday to a 9 seed. Originally, we had them projected as a 10. Now we have them all the way up to a 9, which is a huge, huge swing. So again, dancing in that 10-9 seed, what you're going to see and be a little concerned about is their quad 1 record. As you mentioned, very similar to that UNC of last year, but so many other metrics don't look that bad. And again, it's because you're in a power conference and you play a strong strength of schedule that's going to reward you. So what really happened yesterday was part of a 2-part recipe, I called it. You need to get the upset on Saturday, and then you need to beat Indiana head-to-head at the end of the year. I think that's going to be I hate to use the word lock, but like really securing your ticket into March, regardless of what you end up doing in the Big Ten tournament. So I think they're less concerned about Big Ten play, tournament play, but quad 1 win after quad 1 win is what's going to continue to boost their resume and continue to maybe get them a higher seed by the end of the day.
Let's look at Florida, because it looks like the stock is up for the Gators. So they manhandled Arkansas, and they've earned at least a share, of the SEC title there. So what else did they do in that game that maybe helped to boost their stock?
Yeah, I mean, so Florida's just doing what they've been doing. Now, the interesting thing is it's been this race for that 4th 1 seed, and UConn's been holding that seat right now. Now, if UConn hiccups, it becomes, okay, we can open up the door to a bunch of other teams. Iowa State was in that race. Houston was in that race. Purdue was in that race. Florida was a main character in that race, but all these other guys melted down that it really feels like it's Florida's 1 seed to lose or gain at this point. So really, really good time to buy in on the Florida Gators. Again, we have them as our top 2 seed right now. Their WAB is 6th in the country. They're a top 5 net ranking, and they have a phenomenal quad 1 record. Although we don't think they're technically going to make their way all the way up to a 1 seed, because we don't see UConn hiccuping with their strength of schedule and lack thereof the rest of the way, I'd still buy in on this team. This team has been the 2nd best team in basketball since January, according to Torvik here. They have double-digit rebounding margins on the road. They have +4 percentage points in 3-point shooting, which is a really large difference for a stat that only ranges 28 to 40%, right? Like everything about this team, you don't have the same volume three-point shooting that you have with Walter Clayton Jr., but you have a few guys that can go 2 of 5 here. So they were out shooting teams by 10% last year. Now it's 14%. They were out rebounding teams by around 10 rebounds. Now it's 15. Like this team technically, measurably, is better, if not the same as the national champions last year. So regardless if they make it all the way to the 1 seed or not, we still give them the 4th best odds to win the national championship.
So buy in on Florida, and then we're also buying in on St. Mary's, right? Because they knocked off Gonzaga. And what do you like about the way that they've been able to increase their stock?
Yeah, so beating Gonzaga was basically like leveling the playing field with the Zags. Zags are obviously the cream of the crop of that conference here, but what you've done for yourself now is set yourself up well for the conference tournament and not have to face the Zags until the actual conference championship here. So what happened with that win was it helped their conference championship odds go up a ton, which just in turn will help your at-large bid hopes as well. So this is a team you're always trying to get more quad 1 wins because they don't have many quad 1 opportunities. So having a prime seed going into conference tournament play will allow them to win a few rounds and pick up some quad 1 wins, because it's going to take you getting past round 1, round 2 to be able to get those resume boosters here. So huge movement for them. They move up to a 7 seed from a 10 seed originally heading into the weekend. That's a massive jump. But again, only so many huge marquee matchup opportunities for a team in this conference, and they did the best of their ability, and that's why you're seeing them move from a double-digit seed to a single-digit seed.
And on the other side of that, of course, Gonzaga, they just can't get out of their own way. A projected 4 seed, and on top of that, I'm looking at some updated notes here. They've got a couple of injury concerns going forward. So, Kens, when we think about how they play in the West Coast Conference and they've now lost those 2 pivotal games, how's Gonzaga been impacted?
It's, again, a conference like that, you only have so many opportunities to show that you can play well against quality opponents. So when you blow the 2 to 3 opportunities you have, it's going to put you in a really tough spot. They're going to make the tournament. It's just not, there was a point last week where we were saying they can maybe be a 2 seed. So right now, they're sitting at that 4. They moved down from a 3 seed. My problem with this team and what I get concerned about, if you look at their best wins versus Bama, versus St. Mary's, that Bama game was early. Like some of their games were really early in the season. So just momentum in general, the vibes around this team. And I went to that mock selection Sunday and the committee said, every game counts the same. It's a full body resume. Like if they're swearing by what they say, technically you shouldn't be afraid as a Zags fan, but I just feel like the momentum of how far away those marquee matchups and those wins fell, it just doesn't look like they're in a good stride right now at all.
Momentum is huge at this point in the season. And so when you look at a team like Auburn, they really are going to need to, I know.
This is going from like bad to worse.
I know, I'm sorry.
Really
They're going to need to try to build some momentum. The stock's down. How much did that loss to Ole Miss over the weekend factor into this?
Took them out. Like they're outside looking out. They were inside looking out. Now they're outside looking in. Now, 2 things going well for this team that technically you'd want to put them in the tournament for. They have a top 38 net. They rank 38, and only 4 teams within top 38 net have been left out of the tournament in the past 5 years. So that's a trend going their way. They're also top 2 strength of schedule in the entire country. Now, teams that have the top 2 strength of schedule the last 4 years, only 1 didn't make it into the tournament. So their strength of schedule is working for them. Their net is working for them. That makes sense because those are very correlated stats. However, you go to that 5-11 record right on, 15-14, just above 500 overall. That's where your issues are. Sub 52% win rate. 0 teams have gotten in with that. 22% win rate on the road. 5 of 375 teams have gotten in with that. So you're looking at 2 different ways to look at this team. Your net, your strength of schedule is helping you out. Your legitimate wins and losses are doing nothing and no favors for you. I think it'll be a very hard climb for this team to get back in. What I will say, when you're in a power conference like that, you have a lot of quad 1 games left. If you can make a run in the tournament, you're stacking up quad 1 wins, which seems to be the biggest issue for this team. So potential's there. Do I think they're going to win these quad 1 games? That's a different question.
It's interesting, too, because this is an Auburn team that was in the Final Four. That was a shoo-in for a national championship, just a year ago, 2 years ago? So it is interesting how things change. You can say the same thing about Iowa State, and a conversation that we had yesterday was at the beginning of last week, they were pushing for a 2-seed spot. And then after this week, we're looking at a 3, potentially a 4.
Yeah, I even had them in that 1-seed conversation in that race to take UConn's spot. If they won out the regular season, they won the Big 12, they would absolutely be in that conversation. They go out, they lose to Texas Tech, and now you get Arizona tonight. So that is a tough road ahead. That's why we have them more in that 3-4 seed territory right now. You could think that they could fall as far as a 4. What I will say that has gone well for them is that Texas Tech is a respectable team. The way that they put up the metrics they have without Toppin, it's still showing that that's a quote-unquote good loss. And other teams in this 2-3 dance have all lost as well. Illinois lost this weekend to Michigan. UVA lost. So when other teams in your dance are losing too, it doesn't plummet you as much. But 3 seed really now is where we have them after that loss. And it's hard to believe they could get better than the best 2 seed at this point.
I watched them play UCF after they lost the 2 games to Kansas and to Cincinnati, and they were an incredible team. So I think if they can tap into that form of Cyclone basketball, we will see. But as we know, things will change, and you'll keep your eye on it as it goes.
We'll be looking. We'll be looking. This is March.
This is March. We love having Mackenzie Brooks in studio with us here. Plenty more in terms of her projections by checking out the Inside the Lines there. They give you the best projections, the best price, the best bets, as you try to make your wagers and go into March Madness.